I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, September 25th, 2018, and this is a Prescott City Council meeting. Mayor Pro Tem, do you have any announcements?
I do. I would just like to recognize our own city attorney, John Palladini. Just recently received a CPM, Certified Public Managers, a master's degree from Arkansas State University. And he did this while he also serves us and is also with the National Guard as a lieutenant colonel. Pretty accomplished man. So, John, we're proud of you. A lot of work.
That it?
That's it.
All right. We have an invocation by Patty Yarbrough, Stake Young Women's President with Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and then Councilwoman Scholl will lead us in the pledge.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this country we live in. We thank Thee for our founding fathers and their sacrifices. And we thank Thee for all who have paid the ultimate price for the liberty that we enjoy here and now. We would pray for any who are defending that liberty anywhere in the world. Heavenly Father, we're grateful to have the freedom to meet in council today for the good of the people of our community. Please wilt Thou send Thy Spirit to bless us and to help us in this endeavor. We thank Thee for the public servants who are sincerely trying to be honorable. Please help them as they try to do what is best from Thy perspective. And when that is difficult to discern, we pray that Thou wilt bless their minds, that they will be clear. Please bless their hearts, that they will be honest. And please bless them, that their purposes may be selfless. We ask for Thy blessing upon this meeting today, for all who are here. We pray that each time this council meets, that they may be helped as they try to do good, and that any they come in contact with who are selfish or short-sighted, please hedge up the way before them. Above all, we thank Thee for our Savior, Jesus Christ. We thank Thee for all that He has done for us in times past, and we thank Thee for all that He continues to do for us daily. And we thank Thee for all that He will yet do for us in eternity. Please help us in our efforts to follow His example and to study His words and do better. And we pray in His name, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Let's please call roll.
Mayor Mangarelli,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Orr,
Here.
Councilman Blair,
Yes.
Councilman Good,
Here.
Councilman Lamerson,
Here.
Councilwoman Scholl,
Here.
Councilman Shiska is excused.
Thank you for that. Let's go to proclamations, please.
The first one is Fire Prevention Week, October 7th to the 13th, 2018.
Boy, I get
Steve, how you doing? We have a number of folks here.
Come on up.
Yeah.
They gave me two versions.
Yeah.
They gave me two
Oh,
versions.
two versions?
They gave me a long version, a short version.
No, it should be the short version.
So I'm going to do the short version.
in,
Come on up, everybody.
You don't get to hide back
the
there.
whole-
Yeah, come all the way up front here.
This is fun. I had arms like that once.
Long time ago.
They're not all here. He got his arms from pushing shopping carts, I'm sure. I love you guys. Okay, Fire Prevention Week, October 7th through 13th. Whereas the City of Prescott is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living and visiting Prescott, Arizona. Whereas fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, and homes and locations where people are at risk the greatest is in the home. Prescott's residents should identify places in their home where fires can start and eliminate those hazards. Whereas Prescott's first responders are dedicated to reducing occurrences of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention, protection, and education. Whereas 2018 Fire Prevention Week theme, look, listen, learn, be aware, fire can happen anywhere, serve to remind us that we need to take personal steps to increase our safety from fire. Therefore, Greg Mangarelli, Mayor of the City of Prescott, does hereby proclaim October 7th through 13th, 2018 as Fire Prevention Week. Throughout this city, I urge all people of Prescott to be aware of their surroundings. Look for available ways out in event of a fire or an emergency. Respond when smoke detectors sound by exiting the building immediately. And to support the Prescott Fire and Emergency Services during the Fire Prevention Week 2018. And I just built a new commercial building, and I just want Dawn to know that it's 2,000 square feet, and I have 6 fire detectors and 4 fire extinguishers, so I'm safe.
Steve. First off, Mayor, members of council, the men and women that serve with this community do so very much so on a day-to-day basis in order to protect one's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And with that, for ourselves, we're very welcoming to continue to serve, and the men and women do that very proudly. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
The next proclamation is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, October 2018.
Come on up. Councilman Blair is a tough act to follow. When you go off script, it makes me nervous, by the way.
Thank you.
Guys.
I'm keeping my eye on you.
Okay, this proclamation is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas domestic violence is a pattern of control in a relationship where one person uses coercion and violence to gain power and control over his or her partner, and whereas domestic violence includes physical, mental, emotional, and financial abuse, isolation, and sexual violence, and whereas nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by a domestic partner in the U.S., and whereas 1 in 15 children and 1 in 3 teens are exposed to domestic violence each year, and whereas 107 Arizonans were murdered in domestic violence-related homicides in 2015, whereas by working together we can break the cycle of domestic violence. Now, therefore, I, Greg L. Mangarelli, Mayor of the City of Prescott, do hereby proclaim the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for recognizing and approving this proclamation. Domestic violence is a serious crime that is not biased by race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, financial, or community status. Public awareness, education, and community involvement are essential to providing support to victims of domestic violence. When city leadership recognizes and supports this, you are taking action to support our citizens, and we are creating a coordinated community effort, which creates a safer and healthier environment for all of us. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
The next one is Hope Fest Arizona's Love is the Evidence Day, September 29th, 2018.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all for being here today. It's always great to look out in the chambers and have engaged citizens, so thank you for being here. Before I read this proclamation, I would like to just say to Jaylene Long, the city loves you. We're so sorry for the loss of your sons. Without you, there is no Hope Fest. And we just love you so much, and we've been thinking about you with the loss of your son. So God bless you, and it's only appropriate that today I read Love Conquers All. Hope Fest Arizona's Love Conquers All, September 29th, 2018. Whereas Hope Fest Arizona has grown to be the premier community outreach festival in northern Arizona, whereas on September 29th, 2018, Prescott Courthouse Plaza will once again become alive as guests enjoy local and national recording artists, guest speakers, a multitude of vendors and services, a car and a bike show, and a free family fun zone geared for all ages. Whereas the Hope Serves Family Resource Fair serves veterans, active duty military, first responders, and the vulnerable of Yavapai County to improve our community for all who live here. Whereas guests can bring donations of canned food, new cold weather gear, coats, socks, sleeping bags, and other winter provisions, so all will know the gift of warmth this winter. And whereas both Hope Fest Arizona and Hope Serves Family Resource Fair are free public events because of incredible support from local businesses, organizations, and churches. Whereas through collaboration, this area's service provides Hope Fest is making a tangible difference in the lives of our neighbors by showing that love conquers all. Jaylene, love conquers all. Now, therefore, Greg Mangarelli, the mayor of the city of Prescott of Arizona, does hereby proclaim September 29th, 2018 as the 7th annual Hope Fest, Arizona's Love Conquers All Day.
Thank you so much. Those kind words and your heartfelt love are very much helpful during this time of, and most of you know, losing 2 military sons within 18 months just recently. And I had to go back to where God gave us the theme of Love Conquers All months and months and months earlier, before we knew how much we would have to dig in and really hold on to it. And I also looked back at this room, especially when the police were in here. I used to be on the other side of the law. 19 years in recovery, now working in collaboration with our community to make it better, because we're better together, and that cohesiveness, of that advocacy. And Hope Fest wouldn't exist if there wasn't a need. Our community needs us to step up in all sorts of ways. Not only is it Recovery Month, it's Domestic Violence Month coming up, it's Suicide Awareness Month. You pick it. That we wouldn't have those days if we didn't need them. And we do invite you to come and have fun and see how the spirit of what's going on in that plaza during that day. Pickleball is going to be there. We're having a demonstration area. The carnival is on steroids this year. And the car and bike show, we have over 100 cars and bikes coming in. The Matrix motorcycle is coming. So regardless of what my family has gone through, I turned to our team and said, we learned this lesson last year when we lost Travis. This event has to go on. It's not an event, it's a festival, it's community outreach. It's so important because of the people we're serving and the connections and the relationships made from there. That when this happened again this year, it was a no-brainer. Yeah, I'm going to go to Fort Carson and be with his military platoon. I'm going to do the things that a mom does to be with her family during that time. However, my team is a stellar team. If you ever wanted a team and you kind of looked at those that just work like synchronicity and pulled it together, we've got that team this year. They have just been incredible. So regardless of the heartache and that we're going through, we are going to step up there, we're going to praise, and we're going to have fun, and we're going to serve, and we're going to make new friends. And we're all on a road of some sort of recovery, some sort of brokenness, and moving towards healing. And so in that, we're all together. We all have had pain, brokenness, anger, and pride, and that makes us very much in common.
The last present proclamation is Prescott Area Artist Studio Tour Celebration, October 5th, 6th, and 7th, 2018.
Prescott Area Artist Studio Tour Celebration Days, October 5th, 6th, and 7th, 2018. Whereas artistic awareness is essential to life and community, and whereas the Quad Cities is home to many talented artists, and whereas the Prescott Area Artist Studio Tour, formerly Mountain Artist Guild, engages in activities that foster an appreciation of the arts and encourages art education, and whereas the PAAST holds an annual self-guided tour of local artists, studios, and art centers, and whereas the PAAST includes artists who use their imaginations to create a variety of works in mediums that reflect a wide range of styles and viewpoints, and whereas PAAST educates the public about the techniques and materials used by a wide range of artists through studio demonstrations, and whereas the Prescott Area Artist Studio Tour holds receptions where the public can meet artists participating in the tour. Now therefore, Greg L. Mingarelli, Mayor of the City of Prescott, Arizona, does hereby proclaim October 5th, 6th, and 7th, 2018 as Prescott Area Artist Studio Tour Celebration Days. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We are having a reception on October 3rd at the Elks, where you can go and get a preview of all the artists' work, and you're more than welcome to come to that, and that's from 5 to 7 on Wednesday evening before the tour starts that weekend. Prescott has a really vibrant arts community and artists who are known worldwide in some cases. And so please come out and support our event and tell all of your friends and ask them to tell all of their friends. And I left some of our brochures at the table, but we look forward to making this an even bigger event so that it's even better for Prescott as the years go forward. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to presentations.
Certificate of Appreciation to Kevin Costa for his life-saving efforts.
How are you, partner? Kevin one time had to play as my partner in pickleball tournaments. So sorry about that, Kevin. No, it was fun. He said, "Don't worry, Billy, I've got you. I'm a paramedic." Peg Travers, I'd like for Peg to come up as well. Peg, come on up. So I'm just going to kind of recap this story. The Prescott Pickleball Association. Oh, thank you. Thank you. The Prescott Pickleball Association put on one heck of a tournament. Weekend before last, we had a couple hundred folks from several states that came, and it was an amazing tournament. So after church on Sunday, I went over and dressed in my Sunday best, looked kind of funny, but went over to the tournament, and we were sitting there enjoying ourselves and meeting all the wonderful pickle people because they are so special. And we're sitting there, and then I heard that someone went down on one of the courts. And so we, of course, I was over by the water area, and we were concerned, and then we heard it was a spraying, that somebody just hurt their leg or something. And then just a few seconds later, we heard it was a cardiac arrest. And it was a major pickleball player. He's in Phoenix, and he's known worldwide as a great pickleball player. And he actually went into cardiac arrest. And we were all just, I was sitting there going, oh my, I know someone called 911. But then Kevin Costa, who is a retired paramedic. Were you also a firefighter, Kevin?
Deputy Fire Chief.
Deputy Fire Chief, I thought so. I knew you had my back on that. So Kevin was there, as he always is whenever we have tournaments, and he immediately, who is helping the one person that was hurt, went over and resuscitated the gentleman that had cardiac arrest. You know, it was a God thing that you were right there. And he actually had the equipment to revive this person. He literally saved his life. And the people that called 911 did it appropriately. Our guys showed up. They were wonderful. First we had the police, then we had our firemen, and then we had the ambulance that took the gentleman to the hospital, and who is alive today because of your work. It's amazing. This certificate is presented to Kevin Costa in honor of your heroic efforts which saved a gentleman's life at Mile High Pickleball Tournament on Saturday, September the 17th, 2018, signed by Greg Mingarelli, Mayor. Congratulations, Kevin. Thank you for what you do. And Peg Travers, I have to tell you, you've done such a great job with our pickleball. Look at all these pickle people out here. They're the best, and I love them. I know they're here for all of our pickle people, right? So, Kevin, would you like to say a few words?
Sure.
Thank you. I'm going to give you this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So after 30 years of a career, it's hard for me to accept something like this because I was always on the presenting side, that you recognize civilians for doing something that they went above and beyond. And I don't believe I went above and beyond because I was trained to do something and I had the equipment. And it's nothing short of miraculous that Steve was talking to me 4 hours after the event. We don't usually get to see something like that. I stand before you as the face being recognized, but I was not alone. There was a team, and some of those members are here, and I'd like them to stand and be recognized as well. Tracy, Mary, anybody else in the audience that was part of this, please be recognized. The pickleball community, as Councilwoman Orr said, is very special. They're a giving group, and there's no better group that I'm a participant in, no better group that I'm affiliated with, and I do it again in a heartbeat. Thank you.
I would just like to ask the pickleball people to please stand up because I know there's a ton of them in here, and I will tell you, we're gonna raise money for 4 more courts, and then yes, absolutely. So, thank you for all you do, Peg Travers. Thank you for what you do, Kevin. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, Mr. Costa. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Would any members like to pull anything from the consent agenda? Councilman Good?
Mayor, I ask that item A and B be pulled. Had some corrections on minutes.
Okay.
And then some comments on the B item.
Okay. Anyone else? If not, I'll hear a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve consent agenda items 8C and 8D.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 6-0.
All right. Item 8A, Councilman Good?
Yeah, I wanted to make some corrections on packet 8A, page 4, where I was questioning Arita Zubas from KMC or KLM, where the comments that are in these minutes indicated she and her organization had never actually operated a mine. I also asked whether she actually had any employees, and her answer was no. I also asked her what the scope and size of her organization was and whether they had any revenue. And her answer was no, they had no revenue. So it was important that those additional comments be included because I think collectively they indicate some inability to truly be able to operate this proposed mine out in Skull Valley in a acceptable manner.
All right. With those additions, do I hear a motion?
Mayor, I propose that we move to approve consent agenda item 8A as corrected.
Second.
Motion and second. Please vote.
Passes 6-0.
All right. And then Councilman Good on item 8B.
Yeah, I looked at this project. It's a construction of the alleyway behind the South Montezuma business block that separates the business buildings from the Mile High Middle School athletic field. And I also talked to quite a number of the business operators and some of the owners of those buildings on that street, because one of the businesses contacted me and said, we don't know anything about this. Why is it happening? Why is it happening so quickly? How is it going to impact the delivery and pickup of items in the alley along with trash collections? And so I decided to look into it. Now, this is an Arizona Department of Transportation project for safe routes to school. And that alley actually has at the narrowest point, about 19 feet from the fence to the back of the buildings. So right now it's a two-way alley that a lot of students use to get to Mile High Middle School. And the proposal is to create a 4-foot wide sidewalk about a foot away from the fence, add a rolled curb separating the alleyway from the sidewalk, and then making the asphalt alley one-way from Larkin down to Goodwin Street. So apparently this was approved by a staffer a number of years ago, because I know I didn't know anything about it. And the owners were saying we were never informed, and it certainly is going to impact our business. Some of those restaurants there get multiple deliveries a day, sometimes multiple trash pickups, and then they have dumpsters in the alley that are going to be impeding the ability of those delivery trucks to move through the alley. And at the same time, that's supposed to be a safe route to school for the kids to walk. My first problem was notification. Most of the owners that I talked to weren't aware of any notification of this. And when I looked into it, I got a copy of the letter that went out on June 5th from the city, and it's dated June 5th, indicating that this project would begin on June 7th. And it would take approximately 4 weeks. So I've run across a number of situations where we're just not treating our business owners appropriately. If there's going to be some type of an event, construction, whatever, that impacts their business, they need enough advance notice to plan for this. Otherwise, it damages their business. So here's a letter that we're saying, oh, the owners knew about it. It was almost 3 months old, and it said the project would be done by the end of June. Well, that never happened. Now we find out that it's going to be operating here in a very short period of time, in 8 days, and they're going to have lights on all night long. One of those owners has a rental for, I think, vacation people that come in for 3 or 4 or 5 days a week, and they're going to have lights on all night. That certainly is going to impact his business. So my comments are that we do need to do a much more fair and advance notice to those business owners so they can plan their business around it. And even though I looked at the details of the Safe Routes to School project, I'm a little concerned whether it's really going to end up being that safe. But apparently it meets all the requirements, the distancing. As long as those dumpsters get put back where they're supposed to be, then we should be able to access the alley with the delivery trucks without impacting the kids on the sidewalk. So anyway, those are my comments, and like I said, I'd just like to see a little more respect for the business owners.
Councilman Blair.
Yeah, I would ask the question, who makes the determination about safe routes to school, number one? And number two, when you start messing with traffic flows, changing a two-way to a one-way, that should be right here at City Council's desk. I don't remember ever seeing it. And with Montezuma being a mere half a block away with the sidewalk on both sides, why are we allowing this to take place in the first place? I would like to know who makes those decisions.
Ian, go ahead.
Yeah, Ian Mattingly, City Traffic Engineer. So I have information. Obviously, I knew this was going to be pulled, so I have some information, but I'll try to summarize some of the points that I have, kind of the history and background of the project, and maybe that'll answer some of the questions, and then we can just get into it from there. But so obviously, this item is just to, to approve night work and Sunday work on the back end of a long project that's been happening since basically '09. This project started back in 2009 when Prescott Alternative Transportation, at the time, they're a local nonprofit, they requested and applied for 4 grants. There were 4 Safe Routes to School infrastructure grants. This is one of the schools that was a part of that. We have another one that's ongoing that you've been involved with, and you'll see in the future too, on Coronado by Lincoln. But this one specifically was awarded to PAT, with the city acting as the fiscal agent. Any grant for federal funds have to have a sponsoring agency. So in '09, the city council at that time approved us being the fiscal agent or the sponsoring agent for that grant. And then later on in 2013, the council then approved an IGA. There's several IGAs in place between the city and ADOT that basically kind of go over the details of this. And we basically, the council did, approved an IGA to authorize our portion of the funds. And the project, though, was, it came out of the Safe Routes to School education, and there used to be an education component when the funding was there, that they would do walks, and they would have coordination with the schools. So they would locate where the safe routes are, where are people going, and a lot of the improvements, not only the alleyway widening, but it has some other components. There's stuff on site, there's handicap ramps, there's stuff up on Mountain Oak School and things like that. But those were part of that grant. And so fast forward now, 9 years later, the actual federal program that we use is defunct now. We're 2 federal bills passed, but we're finally into construction. That's government at work. But the intent was never to hoodwink the businesses or do anything that would be unsafe in any way. The original idea was to create a path. This is what we ended up with. It's not the ideal, but a lot of that came about because we were unable to take land from the school to get a pathway on their right-of-way. So we had to do what we could to fit the walkway where people are already walking and will continue to walk. I agree that there's already sidewalk in place on Montezuma, but the fact is the kids don't use that. The kids take the shortest direct route, which is the alleyway. And so the trying to put the sidewalk in the alley is an attempt to improve a bad condition. The two-way alley, the ADOT did not approve the changeover. I will tell you that staff, just like we did in Whiskey Row, we modified that to one-way northbound to improve safety, reduce cut-through, make it easier for deliveries, trash collection, all those things. This is a continuation of that concept 1 block south. We don't want parents, we don't want people driving through the alleyways using it as part of the road network. So we're converting it to northbound. The intent was to have this project finished in the summer. The reason we wanted to do that, minimize impacts on the school and the kids and everyone. Do it quickly in that 4-week period. Unfortunately, when we notified the businesses, and I was involved in that, I personally talked with every business owner and property person that I could get a hold of personally. I handed those flyers to them and personally spoke with them. I didn't get any negative feedback at the time. Now, I'm not disputing the fact that there's new owners. That's right. One of the owners is new, and I talked to their business manager since it was brought to my attention. But they weren't in place at the time. Those owners weren't even here. I couldn't talk to them. I talked to the previous owners who didn't have an issue. I explained to them that the dumpsters would need to be relocated. We would have roll-off set temporarily for the 1-week period of the closure, and then everything would be reestablished. Unfortunately, we hit a gas line. The contractor went in there, opened up the ground, and the gas line was 18 inches from the surface, which made it impossible for us to do the improvements. So Plan A went out the window. Plan B was school starting, we have to wrap up the project and get things underway. So we moved over to another school, finished it, and now we're back.
And excuse me, that was Mountain Oak.
Mountain Oak, yeah, and all those improvements are done, and we did what we could here, so the on-site stuff at Mile High was done. We, in conjunction with ADOT, because they are the primary contract, they have the contract with ERC. We're just the facilitator, because it's our, it's our city, it's our streets. They chose to do it over fall break, because the school wanted to minimize impact, so we're trying to do our part by getting the approval from council to do this. There are challenges in making this sidewalk fit and the dumpsters fit. Luckily, I'm affiliated with Solid Waste, so I was able to work with our supervisors and everyone to make sure that we can put the dumpsters back exactly in the same location when we're done. We're also going to do some slight improvements with the street department to widen out some of the pavement next to the buildings, which is within our right-of-way, basically fix the pavement to get them pushed up against to optimize that. And we also thickened up the rolled curb as a result of the fact that we know trucks are going to be in there. And so we thickened up the concrete thicknesses so that they might have to get up on the sidewalks when they pick up the dumpsters. But that's once a week. And so it's not all ideal, but it's certainly safer and better than it was. And ADOT has looked at it, we have looked at it, and so this is what we're left with. I'm here today because we're in process. The project, while things aren't ideal, this is where we are. The project is moving forward. If we don't allow the night closure, the project will continue. ADOT has a contract, they will finish this out. We have an IGA. They will just impact it during the day more. I did notice in the memo that there are residences in the alleyway, as you state, and it will be an inconvenience. Any night and Sunday work is an inconvenience. Right now, I have an updated schedule I got from ADOT. I got it, I think, Friday or Monday, and it shows that they're going to start work Sunday night, the first Sunday. I think it's October 7th. So they don't want to work till about 6 o'clock Sunday night, the first night. So they won't work Saturday and Sunday. Then they do want to work all the way through till Sunday night, the following one, because school starts the next day. And they even gave me a schedule of what they're going to do on each night, pending everything goes well. But that's the background. That's where we are. We've paid our portion. We've actually contributed about $70,000, $80,000 for these improvements, which are a benefit to our schools and our students. Apart from this project, the one-way conversion, that's something we've always wanted to do. And we've had these conversations through the years I've been here, whether or not we bring everything forward to council and how much should come regarding traffic. Councilman Blair's been here through that. And some of the changes that we make don't always come. Because the position of traffic engineer and public works in general allows us to make traffic control changes that we think benefit. We'll try to do better as far as notification. We don't want to leave anybody out. And we are ready to notify them a second time with a new notice and work with them. I can't really say anything beyond that. It's not perfect, but.
I hope when it comes to putting one-way traffic around the square that you notify us.
Absolutely.
No, my biggest concern is just the notification. These businesses have to serve their customers, and if they're going to be inconvenienced or they've got delivery issues and things like that, they just need enough time to plan for it.
Councilman Lamberson.
Thank you, Mayor. Similar to Councilman Blair, I've been here a long time. Hopefully you're not going to paint another picture someplace using Safe Routes to School money. Safe routes to school means safe routes to school, not necessarily pictures on the side of a wall. At the end of the day, you're the traffic engineer, all right? The burden of culpability is on your shoulders. Will what you're proposing help children get to school safer than what we have today, and will it do it in a more expeditious manner than if we don't do night work?
Yes.
There you go. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, Ian, I know there are new businesses there, so probably the first time you went around, they weren't there. And because I've been a part of a lot of the community meetings that you do when we change things in streets and make these improvements, I've walked that alley. and it's not good. So I wouldn't want to see my kid walking down that alley. I think the sidewalk's going to be better than, of course, they'll probably still walk in the street, but I think it will be an improvement. And it's too bad we have to do it at night. So what if the school break, right now they're on, what week are they on break?
So it's
fall break.
The 4th. It's the
Yeah.
6th and 7th are the first Saturday of the break.
So will you be able to do some of the work during the break time?
So that's all this closure is during that break. So
Okay.
we start the first Sunday after they get out of school.
All right.
They work that week they're off, and the Saturday and Sunday they have as their cleanup days. But they're looking to have complete approval for the entire 9 days. I asked for all 9 days. They didn't ask for that. I did that because things don't go. They don't always go the way they're supposed to. And so right now they're saying Sunday night, the 7th,
Right.
through Sunday the 14th, they'll finish that day.
So you'll be working day and night or just night?
They'll work day and night.
Okay, all right. I think I just wanted to clear that in my head because I saw the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Yeah, that's just that I have to,
we have to give
get
you
approval
permission
for
to
that
do
because
that.
they have
Okay.
approval to work
Got it.
apart from those hours.
All right.
Councilman Blair.
Not that I'm all-knowing, but to me, past president of the Prescott Unified School District, it would seem to me that they'd unlock the gate from 6 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon and separate the kids from traffic. That would be a safe route to school.
Well, I think I'm on my 6th child at Mile High, if I do my math correctly. And I've traveled south and north on that alleyway. And usually you have to kind of time it with people, otherwise it's a real problem. So I would support the northbound one-way. I think is a good idea, much like you've done behind Whiskey Row. Regarding the field, that's a possibility, Councilman Blair. But I do think this is important to have that sidewalk there, and to do one way is definitely going to clean things up. You know, people in our city complain when the roads aren't right and they want them fixed, and then when you fix them, guess what? They complain again about when you're doing it. So there's a phrase for that I won't use right now, but you know, I think let's just get it done.
Yep.
And I appreciate your context. Ian, it's tough when these things take so long. You've got turnover on this dais, and you know, some people sitting here weren't here in '09, and I get that. I do remember sitting on the school board hearing about this project a number of years ago, so thanks for your work on this. Any other questions or comments from the council? If not, I'll hear a motion.
Trying to find it here. Sorry, it's item B, right?
Yep.
Mayor, I move to approve the night work on Carlton Street and Montezuma Avenue between October 6th and October 14th.
Second.
Motion and second, please vote.
Passes 6-0.
All right, let's move on to item 9A, please.
Mayor and council, this liquor license is for a location transfer, Series 7 Beer and Wine Bar, application for Pizza Hut. They're moving from their current location at 1231 Iron Springs Road to their new location at 1512 Willow Creek Road, Suite C. The applicant is not in attendance today. Thank you.
Okay. So hear a motion on the public hearing.
Mayor, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Have a motion second, please vote.
Passes 6-0.
And
then we need another motion for recommendation.
Mayor, I move to approve liquor license application number 0713002/28255 for a location transfer Series 7 Beer and Wine Bar liquor license application for Pizza Hut LLC.
Second.
Motion and second, please vote.
Passes 6-0.
All right, let's move on to item 10A.
Approval of a $50,000 donation to the Granite Mountain Hot Shot Memorial Partnership for the creation of a memorial to be located at the Courthouse Plaza.
All right, and Councilwoman Scholl, or do you guys have somebody from the partnership that would like to speak?
Yeah, Brad Fain is here to speak on behalf of the Memorial Partnership. And before he speaks, I'd just like to take a moment to recognize Yavapai Prescott Indian Tribe President Ernie Jones, who passed away last Monday. He was a very valued member of our board for the past 5 years, and his loss is great to this community. And so his perspective as a member of the Yavapai Indian Tribe was one that was really useful to our committee. The cultural and historical perspective that he offered dramatically shaped the design and the selection of the artist for this memorial.
Thanks for mentioning that. I know there was a large group of community outpour for his family. I was there Friday evening at Ruffner Wakeland to speak to his wife and family, and I know there was a lot of people that attended the memorial Saturday morning. Thank you for mentioning that. Mr. Fain.
Mayor, Council, thank you for this opportunity. It's a great opportunity to be here, and I thank you for the time and listening to our request for some funds. I want to just give you a little bit of background about the process, because I'm not sure everybody understands the entire process that's gone through to get to where we are today. This committee was formed shortly after the tragedy in that following year, and as you can imagine, it was a difficult committee to form because the emotions were really raw and real, and the community was really suffering for a great loss that we had endured. But the board was put together, this committee, and the committee was made up of people from the fire, forest, the public and civic sector, the private sector. We have an artist on the committee. We had a representative from the tribe. And it wasn't just in the city of Prescott, it was all throughout the region. And the group that put the committee together really tried to make sure we had a diverse group to represent all the interests of the region in creating this memorial. And we even had a family member of one of the fallen join the committee to share their perspective and to kind of keep us on track of what we were really trying to accomplish. I'd like those committee members that are here today, if they wouldn't mind standing, because there's a big group of them back here, and Alexa. A little bit about the process, Mayor. It's been almost 5 years. Just past 5 years since the tragedy, but the committee's been together almost 5 years. And we started with getting comments from the community at large and taking those comments to help guide us in creating an RFP so that we could reach out to the artist community and solicit input for what should this memorial be, what should it look like, and how should we present it to the community. So with the public input on that, we formed an RFP, and then we went out to several areas to solicit artists. We got many, many, many replies from local artists, statewide, nationwide. So we had a great pool of artists that submitted their response to our RFP on how they would pay tribute for this memorial. We went through a very thorough and extensive process to narrow the artists down to 3. Part of it was a blind process where we didn't know the artist's name. We were just selecting based on the presentation and the work they had presented for us. When we got down to the final 3, we knew who they were. We asked them to come back to the committee to tour the site themselves and to present us with a budget and an execution plan. The committee wanted to know, 1, how much it was going to cost so we could see that we could fulfill on the commitment we were signing up for, but we also wanted confidence from the artists that they could execute their plan, and we weren't going to be stuck with one of those projects that's in limbo and nowhere to an end. It was a very difficult process. You can imagine the discussion that took place to try to select a piece of art for a memorial for a community that everybody is aware of the tragedy, and to choose something that everybody would appreciate. It's not an easy process to go through. We had a lot of help along the way. But I can say I feel we have a great design, we have a great artist for a very important memorial for the fallen. Deborah Fellows was selected as the artist. She is well known in the community. She's done many, many public works. The design she presented we felt was very respectful and for the situation we were in. And we felt it was the appropriate artwork for the memorial to pay respect and regard for these men, for the sacrifice they made, and for our continuing regard for them. Today where we're at is we're in the process of raising the funds necessary to build and construct the memorial. Our total budget is $500,000 for the project, and our goal as a committee is to raise the funds, begin the construction immediately so that we can reveal it and unveil it at the 6th anniversary, which would be June of 2019. That's our goal. I just want to give you some background. To date, we've received funding from the county. The Board of Supervisors they pledged the site early on, and they've come back with some in-kind work on the project, so they're supporting it. Private individuals have come forth. Public sector businesses have come forth. In addition to the city of Prescott considering this, the town of Prescott Valley is taking up this conversation at their next council meeting, and we are also in discussions with Chino, Dewey Humboldt, and the other communities in the region. So we're getting great support, and with that, I just thank you for the time in considering this, and I'll do my best to answer any questions if you have any.
Well, thanks for being here today, and thank you for the partnership. It's good to see the Ashcrafts here as well. And also thank you for coming to the Mayor's Managers meeting to present to our local mayors and managers. You spoke to this, but in the Quad City area, I think there's a lot of support, and we'll probably create one donation from the 4 municipalities here locally, which I think would be most pleasing, I think, to all the Quad City area. And again, we've said it from the dais before, many of us, but thank you to the whole partnership for your work on this. It's very, very important to our city, and I think you've done a tremendous job, and appreciate your time and thought and the different inputs that you've put into this. It's very well done. Not an easy task, but thank you for your work. Councilwoman Scholl.
I also want to acknowledge the Yavapai Prescott Indian Tribe very early on donated $20,000 to the Memorial Partnership, and that was in large part due to Ernie Jones and his efforts, and so we appreciate him and the tribe for that donation.
Questions or comments from the council? Councilman Good.
Well, my only concern about this is the fact that it's unbudgeted, so we're going to have to take it out of the general fund. And I've said many times that I wouldn't support general fund expenditures unless they were essential services, preferably public safety. But with that being said, I consider this a pre-existing condition. I think the city leadership at the time this organization was formed sanctioned it and supported it. So knowing that you have a pretty aggressive build timetable that you want to break ground, and the fact that we have pretty substantial reserves, I have no objection at this time.
Councilman Lamerson.
Thank you, Mayor. Similar to Councilman Good, I have a problem with the fact it wasn't budgeted. However, I support the project. I would defer to Mark, our guy there, where if it wasn't in the budget, wasn't included in the budget, where do we have $50,000 that we could participate? I mean, does it come out of bed tax dollars? Because this too is tourism generated or promoting. Does it come out of Parks and Rec? Because it isn't a park. I mean, it's a park. I mean, where do we come up with the money? Because it's a reallocation process. Where's the money available?
Contingency? Well, Councilman, it'll, I mean, the way it's being proposed is to come from the general fund. It wasn't budgeted, so there is no budget appropriation. But again, we have several of those projects throughout the year that didn't make it in the process every year. And we take a look at those, we talk about them when they come up like we are this one. And then in June, we bring you one resolution that reappropriates the budget. But the funds would come from the general fund. There is, as Councilman Good said, sufficient reserves in the general fund to cover this.
You answered the question when you said it's in the reserves. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I just want to agree with Mayor and Alexa. Thank you for your work on this as well. I am very honored to vote yes on this. I think it's a tremendous memorial that's going to be in our midst for generations to come. And I know you guys have done a lot of hard work in it, so thank you. I actually feel it's very appropriate that it comes from the general fund. That's our public safety fund. These gentlemen were in our public safety, and I just, it's hard to put it all into words, but Brad, team that worked on this, thank you so much, and I think it's appropriate, and I'm very, very glad that we as a region are going to come together and bring forth these funds.
Councilwoman Scholl?
One thing I wanted to share about the process that was really important, after we had made a selection of the design and the artist, we contacted every spouse and mother and father and personally reached out to them. Many of them came and sat down with us and viewed the memorial design before it went public. And one mother said that she thought it was very fitting that they were on the southeast corner, the corner directly kitty corner from City Hall, because there are boys and they belong on that corner. And so I thought that was very touching that she said that. And I'm really excited about this project and that the city is very supportive of it. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Fain.
Thank you, and we'll leave a couple flyers back here if anybody in the audience wants a couple flyers on the project. Thank you all.
Yeah. And thank you to the partnership.
Make the motion.
Mayor, I move to approve the donation of $50,000 to the Granite Mountain Hot Shots Memorial Partnership.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Please vote.
Passes 6-0.
All right, let's move on to item 10B.
Approval of amendment number 2 to city contract with Traffic Safety Incorporated.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Approval of this item will provide continued funding of the city's annual pavement marking contract with Traffic Safety Incorporated, TSI, for fiscal years 19 through 21. On April 11th, 2017, TSI was awarded the pavement marking contract for a period of 1 year for fiscal year 17, with options for renewal for up to 3 one-year periods. In March of this year, the city and contractor, by mutual consent, agreed to extend the contract for 3 one-year periods at the same contract rates and terms. Council, by approval of this item, authorizes the expenditures of up to $150,000 per year for 3 years for the annual pavement marking contract work. $150,000 is currently available in fiscal year 19 in the operating budget of Transportation Services, which is the Streets Fund, and expenditures will be made in fiscal year 20 and 21, pending approval of subsequent annual operating budgets. This is basically a housekeeping item. We've already got the contract in place, which you approved, and this will provide the funding for 3 years for a total of $450,000 for the 3 years. I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Ian. Questions, comments?
Good thing they're not using house paint anymore.
Mayor Pro Tem.
From serving on the Bike Pedestrian Traffic Committee, we often talk about what we can do with striping. Striping is just so important. And Ian, you've been able to make some pretty major changes with some paint. So appreciate what you do.
Other questions or comments from the council? If not, I'll hear a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve amendment number 2 to city contract number 2017-291A2 with Traffic Safety Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $150,000 per year.
Second.
Motion and second. Please vote.
Passes 6-0.
Thanks, Ian. And our final item, 10C.
Award of city contract to Fan Contracting Incorporation for the Zone 16 tank pump station and water main project.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Eric Bay, Public Works. So I'm very excited to be talking about this next item. This next item is the Zone 16 Water System Improvements Project. And this project is going to replace our Virginia Street booster pump station, bolster our transmission main into the Hazley area, and replace the tank on top of the Hazley hill. So part of my excitement here is because we badly need this project. As you may or may not know, Zone 16 is on the southern boundary of our city, and it bounds right next to forested land. Firefighting capabilities within the zone are insufficient. The booster station is aged and undersized. The main is undersized. The tank is aged and undersized. This project will replace that infrastructure in combination with bringing over some additional capacity from a neighboring zone, our Zone 33, and it will significantly increase our firefighting capabilities in this area. So, Mayor, I heard your comment about going off script earlier to Councilman Blair. I am going to go off script a little bit. I think that sometimes things do happen for a reason. And I was so happy to hear that the proclamation for Fire Protection Week was given at this very council meeting. And then the donation to the Hot Shots partnership was also given at this meeting. And I think that it's really no coincidence that, you know, we're taking one more step to protect our city with this Zone 16 project. So back to business. The city publicly advertised this project. We received 5 qualified bids, and we actually garnered some interest from regional contractors. A few contractors from the valley bid on this. The apparent low bidder was local Fan Contracting. We're very familiar with this contractor, and Fan Contracting, they have an interest to take the extra step, go the extra mile on projects like this because they live, work, and play in this community just like you and I. Because of the magnitude of this project, we did host a pre-award meeting. We sat down with the contractor. We discussed to see if there were any hiccups or glitches in the bid documents or the bidding process, and I'm happy to report that we're thumbs up, green light, ready to go on this project. Funding is available in the water fund. We are recommending award at this time. And with that, I'll take any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Eric. It's always good to hear your passion about utilities, so appreciate that. Councilman Lamerson.
Oh, thank you very much, Mayor. I appreciated your off-script comment, especially when you're referencing Blair, especially now that you're wearing green and we're talking about things that are important to public health and safety, and I couldn't agree with you more. This is needed. It's not a want, and public safety is one of the reasons why we sit here.
Yes.
Other questions or comments? Councilman Good?
Now, this was planned, projected, and funded through the budget process, correct?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to award city contract number 2019-100.
Second?
Motion and second. Please vote.
Passes 6-0.
Our quote today is from our very first president, George Washington. Let us with caution indulge the supposition that morality can be maintained without religion. Reason and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in exclusion of religious principle. This meeting is adjourned.